Welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you in the middle of the week. Little off-season hot stove talk here. Looking forward to it. We got quite a bit to go through. Rangers, a wild card for Corbin Burnes. That's the word on the street. Nate Lowe trade rumors abound. Yankees apparently in the mix for a first baseman, not liking what they see in the trade market. We'll see what happens. And we got a whole lot else for you. But first, here, Right on Rangers, we cover everything sports, but we put a big emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Rangers, and especially the Rangers during the MLB offseason. Thank you for choosing Right on Rangers for all of your Texas Rangers content. We'll be taking your comments. We will be taking your questions. And we have got a long list of items to go through, all things Texas Rangers baseball. Got a great show for you. Hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So, first of all, Corbin Burnes pursuing an 8-year, I think I last saw $250 million contract, something like that off the top of my head. Rangers are apparently a wild card team. I know there was a report last week that the Giants had made an offer and that there was a little bit of back and forth with the agent over opt-outs. Scott Boras, of course, the agent representing Corbin Burnes. Jon Heyman reporting, though, that the Rangers are a wild card team in the Corbin Burnes sweepstakes. Look, Rangers, I don't want to get my hopes up here, but I do believe that the Rangers multiple times this offseason have been noted as potentially being a surprise team, a team that is going to make a splash move, and who knows if it's going to be a pitcher, a batter, whatever the case may be. But the Rangers have been noted multiple times this offseason by various reporters as being a team that can make a surprise splash. Could it be Corbin Burnes? Like I said, I hate to get my hopes up. What a filthy rotation that would be if the Rangers were able to somehow convince Corbin Burnes to accept that contract. I mean, you've got Evo, you've got DeGrom, you've got Corbin Burnes. Rangers, I think, would not quite surge to the top of the favorites in Major League Baseball. I think Dodgers would probably still be up there among a couple other teams, but I would think Rangers would immediately catapult into the top 5 favorites to win it all, maybe even the top 3 if they were to acquire Corbin Burnes. I think Burnes would be that guy that you could obviously count on to be an ace. You don't know what you're getting from Jacob DeGrom. You hope that it's a full year, 2025, full year of health from DeGrom, but you just don't know. That is the reality. It's the harsh reality. You don't know if DeGrom is going to be able to make it all 6 months of the season and then into October. You hope for the best. You hope and pray for the best, but I don't know if we can sit here and really confidently stand on any kind of evidence that suggests that. The reality is DeGrom is a guy that, as much as you love him and as much as he is completely dominant, one of the best pitchers in baseball when he's right, you do have to do things throughout the season to make sure that he stays right. And it feels rare that he avoids total no shutdowns, no IL stints. Like you're at least skipping a couple of starts here or there with DeGrom. I hope that this is a year where he pitches in 30-plus games and you get him for all of October. The reality is he's, over 35 years old, coming off his second Tommy John surgery. Might be nice to have a guy like Corbin Burnes. If they don't get Corbin Burnes, obviously Sasaki still in the mix for a guy like him, although who isn't in the mix for Roki Sasaki at this point? But I think that the Rangers are still in that market. If the price and the guy is right, try to get that third ace, if you will, to accompany Evo, to accompany DeGrom. Corbin Burnes would be a huge, huge move for the Rangers. Not holding my breath, but we'll see what ends up happening on that front. Trust, we will be getting on the live fairly immediately if I get a Corbin Burnes to the Rangers notification. Wouldn't that be a day? It's fun to talk about. I think the Rangers are going to focus on bullpen right now. maybe adding another piece on offense. They're still in discussion right now with Joc Pederson. That's what I've gathered from the bevy of sources that I follow when it comes to Rangers baseball. I think Joc Pederson definitely still an option. Maybe a guy that you can throw out in the outfield. Maybe a guy that DHs if Jake Burger is playing the field. We'll see what happens on the offensive front. I know there's a lot of Rangers fans that would like to see Texas continue to bolster an offense that really hit below the mark last year, and that's putting it lightly. A lot of guys on our squad underperforming. A lot of guys regressed from their 2023. You need multiple injections of offense for 2025. Multiple injections. And look, Berger, 29 bombs last year, 63 bombs in his past 2 seasons. Berger's nice. I like Berger, but I don't think that Berger is pushing you over the top per se into a playoff-oriented lineup. I think that you definitely got a little bit better having Jake Burger be a big part of this. And by the way, CY pretty much came out and said that he is going to be a mainstay. That was his exact word. Burger will be a mainstay in the lineup. So we're going to see a lot of Jake Burger, both at the DH spot, probably running the corners here and there. So I would like to see the Rangers add another piece if possible. Maybe it's Joc Pederson. Maybe somebody else pops up. Who knows? But that's what I got so far on those fronts. Let me pause real quick. I got more, but I'll check comments. Say what's up to some of y'all. Appreciate all you guys tuning in today. Let me get some comments along the way. Thank you. Natalie, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. If the Rangers just end up getting Burger on offense, I'd be happy with that, especially because I bet they still want Smith to play a lot of games. That creates a logjam if they were to get Joc. I think that Smith, there's a number of guys. We're going to talk about this. There's a number of guys on the Rangers that I think are tradable right now. Josh Smith is one of them. As much as we love Smitty, as much as we love Josh Smith, I do think that there are some guys on the trade block, guys that are getting at least listened to. We're not saying that the Rangers are absolutely trading them. We're saying guys that based on the contract, based on the salary they're making this year, and just based on how the Rangers are all coming together for 2025, some tradable figures. We're going to talk about those in just a little bit, but I do think Josh Smith is on that list right now. I think that he absolutely could be traded. I think Ezekiel Duran is another guy you think about potentially getting rid of, trading. We talked about him as well. So that's what we've got right now for the trade market. I'm going to keep on going with other comments and questions. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Thank you so much. Let me scroll back through TikTok a little bit here. Thoughts on the Tigers 2024 season? Quite a run for the Tigers, was it not? I mean, that was a crazy run for the Tigers. Did not expect them to do what they did, getting on that hot streak and suddenly getting a playoff spot, right? Let alone winning a playoff series. I don't think anybody expected that. Props to the Tigers. I was hoping the Rangers would go on a Tigers-like run. Never happened last year. Tigers, good stuff. Deer Hunter, what's up, man? No word on Sasaki again. For anybody that hasn't been tuning into our weekly show, we do it every Wednesday. We talk Rangers baseball. We've talked about Sasaki a lot, and essentially they have announced that Sasaki is going to be going into the 2025 international signing class, which in all likelihood means he's not going to be signing a contract until after January 15th. So I don't feel like we're going to be hearing a ton on the Sasaki front unless he and the agent just want to come out and sing it from the rooftops and proclaim whoever it is they are going to be signing with. But I would imagine they keep things pretty close to the chest until that date. So Sasaki, by the way, because of his age, because of his situation coming from the NPB in Japan, he's not going to be able to sign for a massive contract like what you saw with Yamamoto, for example. His signing bonus is quite limited. So the Rangers are not going to be breaking the bank, neither is any other team to get Sasaki. So this is truly a situation where, yeah, I mean, the money's going to be there, but the fit, right? Where does Sasaki want to play? There's been a lot of conjecturing about where might he like to go, small market, big market. Obviously, the Rangers have a history with Japanese players. That would be outstanding if they are able to convince him to come here. We know CY has built a relationship with Sasaki and the agent. CY went over to Japan, I think right around playoff baseball time back in October, and watched him pitch. That would be great. If they can pull it off, that would be great. Let me keep going here. Think we re-sign Yates, Robertson, or one or the other. Thank you for the comment. Appreciate that. Look, I've heard that one or the other is definitely what's going to happen, if anything. So if you're going to sign one of them, you're not going to be able to sign the other. I have not heard anything on who they're leaning towards, if it is one or the other. But I will say this. I love Kirby Yates and David Robertson. I absolutely love the value that they brought to the Rangers last year in the 2024 season, and clearly they performed above all expectations. I don't think anybody really expected a lot out of those guys. Like when I got on my show at the beginning of the season and talked about the moves, I said it's a solid presence. I thought David Robertson would be kind of a nice Swiss Army knife type. You could put him in a number of high leverage situations. I didn't expect him to have the year that he did, collecting mid-30s holds, and then Kirby Yates with the sub 120 ERA. Nobody expected that. I will say this though, I don't know how big of a fan I am of investing double-digit millions into a guy like Kirby Yates or David Robertson. Kirby Yates going to be 38 at the start of the season. David Robertson, I believe, is a little bit older. I do think there are some guys out there that you can get that would probably be a little bit better for the money. That's my prediction, at least. I would probably rather go for something like that instead. Audio's a little bit choppy on YouTube. Sorry about that. I'll see what I can do, see if I can fix it. I'll switch it and see if I've got solutions here. You let me know. But right now, I think I might. Maybe I fixed it. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Let me know if it gets any better. But my apologies. I'll see what I can do. See if I can keep on going and getting it a little bit better for y'all. Let me keep going with comments on TikTok here. We need one more, but the two kids will be better. Go Rangers. Yep. We'll see what happens on the trade front. Do I think we make a move for a guy like Christian Walker? If you trade Lowe, I think Christian Walker would absolutely be in the mix. Christian Walker, a power hitting first baseman for the Diamondbacks, if you're not up on all the different names in the game. Christian Walker, I think, would be a really solid pickup. And Christian Walker's got a pretty good glove at first base. So, that's the thing with handing off first base to Berger, for example. I just don't feel great about that. And Nate Lowe, look, the gold glove, it matters. It's why Nate Lowe's score is as high as it is. He's a gold glover at first base. The bat, clearly, we wish it had more power. We wish we were getting a little bit more production out of the first base position. Nate Lowe has been really consistent. But the glove, it's so huge. It's so important. Christian Walker, I do think, has a really good glove down at first base, and you get the bat. That would be a type that I would like to invest money in if Nate Lowe does get traded. Don't know what Christian Walker's asking price is. This is actually a really good segue because the Yankees, they trade for Cody Bellinger. I know some of y'all were asking about what I think about the Bellinger trade. I'll get to that in just a second here. So I like the Cody Bellinger trade for the Yankees. You don't get Soto. You got to go out and get somebody else that can be a mainstay at the top of that lineup. So for the Yankees, I like the Cody Bellinger move. I wish that he was not going to the Yankees, but if I'm just trying to be objective, it's a good move for him. And I do think that the reports are coming out of New York that the Yankees do not like what they are seeing in the free agent market for first baseman. So the asking prices of guys like Pete Alonso, Christian Walker, a little bit too high for the Yankees. And the source that I read this morning said they're going to be looking in the trade market. And so cue Nate Lowe, who is a guy that has been numerous times reported as a trade option for the Texas Rangers. I absolutely think that there could be something to this story. I don't know what the Yankees would be willing to give up. I do not know what they would be willing to contribute in a trade to the Rangers for Nate Lowe. But I will say, I think it is a real possibility. You've got the Yankees wanting somebody to replace Rizzo. You've got the Yankees not wanting to overpay in terms of first baseman free agents. Probably wise. I've said a number of times, I don't know if for what you're actually paying Nate Lowe, which is about $10 million, I don't know if you're going to go out and get a first baseman that's going to be worth the value. Meaning, I think that you could go out and get somebody in free agency a little bit better than Nate Lowe, but you're probably going to be paying $20 million plus for him, and you're getting Nate Lowe for 10. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to get a small upgrade for double the price. And I can't imagine Chris Young is going to be feeling similarly, along with Fenstermaker and Figueroa, the other GMs. I don't think that that's going to be happening unless the Rangers get a absolutely sick return for Nate Lowe. And I just don't know what the Yankees are willing to offer. But that's the word. There's a number of other guys that the Yankees, I think, could potentially be interested in, first basemen that are controllable, but Nate Lowe, the big name. By the way, some of the other guys that have, I think, been noted as potential trade chips because of the salary, because of their fit, maybe potentially expendable on the roster. So there's a number of them, and I'm just going to read them out to you. So you got Tyler Mahle making $16.5 million next year. That's a lot of money for Tyler Mahle. I mean, for a guy that you got what? You could maybe count on what, one, maybe slightly two hands, the number of starts he got out of him. Should be healthy for this year, but do you really want to be paying Tyler Mahle $16.5 million? You're paying Jon Gray $13 million. That's a lot of money for Jon Gray, who you're probably going to be adding to the bullpen, I would think. I don't know if Jon Gray is going to be making the starting rotation or not. I really don't know. I think that there are some guys that could beat him out for that spot, and then you're paying $13 million for a relief pitcher for Jon Gray, a guy that's been injured a lot, a guy that has been very, very solid 2023. Who can forget his relief appearances in the World Series and in their playoff run in general? But at $13 million, maybe a guy that you do think about moving. Dane Dunn, perhaps, almost making $3 million, would be a trade candidate. Nate Lowe, almost $11 million, $10.7 million to be exact. We talked about Nate's contract already. Leody Taveras, projected arbitration right, projected to make about $5 million. And you've also got Jonah Heim, projected to make about $5 million. I think all those guys could be guys that you potentially try to trade. Is it going to happen? No. Do I want to see all these guys go per se? No. But I will say this. I think if the trade is right and you can trim the salary to add somebody else, maybe it's Corbin Burnes, maybe it's Anthony Santander. I don't know. I'm dreaming big here. If you're going to go and make a big swing in free agency, I would support trading away any of those guys. There's nobody on that list that I just feel like you cannot trade at all. I do think guys like Duran and guys like Smith are definitely trade chips as well, but you're not necessarily gaining salary space or anything like that by trading them. Those are both guys that are very controllable and very cheap. But if you did trade Josh Smith or if you did trade Ezekiel Duran, it would be more to maybe acquire other pieces that you need for win now mode in 2025. Maybe you strengthen the bullpen a little bit. It just depends on what the return is. But you would only be trading those guys if you're getting a solid return that helps you win now. Those guys would be less of a salary trim and more of a fit situation where you're trading for a player that has a better fit on the team and an opportunity to really make a more impactful difference. I mean, look, as much as we love Josh Smith and Ezekiel Duran, these guys are turning into guys that are going to be coming off the bench. Josh Smith, in the current construction of things, he may end up making 400 at bats, maybe, but still, he's going to be coming off the bench some games. If you can get a team that would be willing to give you a nice return for a Josh Smith package or Josh Smith along with some other players, I think you got to be open to it as much as we appreciate what Josh Smith did in the 2024 season. All right, you keep going here. Get back to comments. Let's see. If Evo and DeGrom can stay healthy, plus Rocker remains to stay strong. Look, I think we can do it with Evo and DeGrom, and that's assuming health. But I do think that the Rangers can be successful in the playoffs with Evo and DeGrom 1-2 punch, and then you've got a few other guys. You got a Malley, maybe a Rocker. I don't know if we can jump the gun on Rocker. We've only seen him for a few starts. We all want to think he is going to be a bona fide ace in this league. And trust me, I think he's got the stuff to do it, but we don't know. Baseball is a weird sport. I don't think you can assume that Rocker is just going to come out and be an ace for you. I don't know if we want to even put that on him. Don't even know if we want to put that on him yet. In fact, I'd rather them start him off as low pressure as possible. So back of the rotation, I don't think he's going to come out of the bullpen, but I'd love to see Rocker, 4th, 5th starter, just ease him into the big leagues a little bit, get his feet wet. He got a big toe wet, I would say, last season. Let's get the feet wet with Rocker a little bit. I don't think we need to put crazy expectations on him quite yet. That's why we have DeGrom still. That's why we have Evo still. Let those guys be top dogs and just let Rocker ease his way into major league play. I think he's going to be great. I just don't want to see them put too much on him early when you really don't need to. Keep going. Rangers have one of the best pitching staffs in the league. Absolutely. Absolutely, they could have one of the best pitching staffs in the league. I think, the Rangers were about middle of the road last year, and it was only because of all the injuries they had. But, let's just say it out loud. Let's just say it out loud, John. We got Jacob DeGrom, Nathan Eovaldi. You've got, then after that, Cody Bradford. Think about the year Cody Bradford had for us last year. Then you got Tyler Malley. You've got Kumar Rocker. And then you've got some other guys that are wild cards, if you will. I'll be glass half full. Wild cards. Could Dane Dunning have a 2023 bounce back, if you know what I mean? Dane Dunning's best season, the World Series season. Could we get that kind of year from Dunning? Could we get a great bounce back year from John Gray? You just don't know. So those are the kinds of guys I have my eye on, but I think that the rotation that I just said is pretty formidable. Again, Evo, DeGrom, Bradford, Malley, Rocker, and then any of those guys as maybe a potential 6th starter. Who knows? I do think this is one of the better rotations, though, right now in the big leagues. You had Corbin Burnes, which is a long shot, but again, the Rangers, Jon Heyman reports, are a wild card team in the Corbin Burnes sweepstakes. If you get Corbin Burnes in a Rangers uni, that's by and far the best rotation in the big leagues. You got Burnes, DeGrom, Evo, 1, 2, 3. That's nasty. We'll see what happens. Appreciate the gift, by the way. Thank you. TikTok, appreciate all y'all. Thank you for the likes. A couple of people have followed as well. Really, really appreciate that. Let me keep going. I will get to as many comments as I can. What do I think about Garcia? So Garcia, actually, I saw a video come out on Garcia. It was just showing his workout regimen. One of the Rangers beat writers reported it, and he looks really good, doing a lot of explosive movements. Look, gym videos only take me so far, y'all. Be real. Videos, off-season, guys working out. You love to see it. Of course, that player's PR wants to put that out as much as possible. Garcia had a bad year. He did. We got to come out and say it. He had a very bad year for the expectations that we had for him. It's not bad in comparison maybe to the rest of the league. Probably pretty average, middle of the pack. But Garcia was a guy that hit multiple RBI roles. He hit, 4, 5, 6? Those are prime RBI opportunity. And Garcia was up there at the end of the year. The stats, again, don't look terrible. But if you watch the Rangers all the way through the 2024 season, it was painful at times. It was very painful at times. So I will say this. I think Garcia is going to bounce back. I don't think he's going to be as bad as he was last year. I think that would be hard to duplicate. No disrespect. It is what it is. I think it would be very hard for him to duplicate how bad he was last year at times. I think he is going to bounce back. I hope that he's fully healthy. I know we talked about that multiple times. We talked about, is Garcia dealing with an injury? And then, of course, at the end of the year, he did end up having an injury that forced him out of the final series of the season. I hope that Garcia comes back fully healthy and he's 2023 mode. Or how about this? Maybe even just a step or two below 2023 mode. I would take that in a heartbeat. So I think Garcia is going to be better. How much better? I don't know. But I think it would be very, very difficult for him to be as bad as he was last year. You keep going. Yeah, JJ agreed. They all had a bad year. They all had a bad year. I think there were very few Rangers you could really say had excellent years. Look, Kirby Yates, David Robertson, I think you would say good years. For Josh Smith and what you were expecting out of him, I think you would say good year for Josh Smith. I think Corey Seager, even for Seager standards, and y'all know, biggest Corey Seager fan right here. I think Seags had a little bit of a down year by his standards, accentuated by the slow start he had in April, not really getting a proper spring training. I think Seager would probably tell you he can be better. Marcus Semien, that is my number one bounce back guy, by the way. Semien is, I think, the biggest Rangers bounce back candidate. I mean, he's not going to win comeback player of the year or anything like that, but I just think you're going to see a Semien, a Marcus on a mission. I think he is going to have a much better year this year. I know that they're talking about resting Marcus a little bit more, but look, yes, all 24 Rangers players I think could have been better, minus maybe a few of the guys that I mentioned. So hopefully we get that bounce back from a lot of those guys. What do I think about Joc Pederson? We talked about Joc a little bit. Look, I wanted the Rangers to get Joc Pederson last year. I thought Joc Pederson would have been the perfect DH. The two guys I really wish that the Rangers would have got last year, Tommy Pham or Joc Pederson, and just let them DH. We didn't have a DH last year. I think it really came back to bite us. Joc Pederson would have been a great addition just to throw in the DH spot every single game. You know, occasionally you need to give somebody a break in the field and put them on the bench, but I would have loved to have had Joc Pederson last year. So I know the Rangers are still talking to Joc Pederson's camp. We'll see if the Rangers end up going through with that. Who knows? And I'm not sure what Joc Pederson is asking for, but I definitely would be a fan of that move. Where does that leave you with Jake Burger? Because the plan is for Jake Burger to be a mainstay. Chris Young's own words. He said Jake Burger is going to be a mainstay in the lineup. Does that mean that Joc becomes kind of that fourth outfielder, if you will? Does Joc get a little bit of time in splitting it with Burger? I don't know. Time will tell on that one. Another guy, Natalie mentions Carter. Carter, by the way, full go for spring training as of right now. So they've been asking about Evan Carter, Rangers reporters, and the word is going to be fully healthy for spring training. I'm interested to see if they're going to take the training wheels off Evan Carter and just let him be an everyday player. I think that matters a lot. I don't know if the question has been asked yet. I know they're going to ease Carter into it. Like, you're probably not going to see every day right away unless he just really shows you something in spring training. But if you're not going to let Evan Carter play every day, the Rangers are in a little bit of a conundrum. You've got two guys, Leody Taveras and Evan Carter, that both really don't hit lefties great, and the Rangers did not want to play against lefties last year. Leody exclusively was in the lineup against righties only last year, and Evan Carter was basically only playing against righties himself. So what do you do with that? That's why I think Leody should probably be traded, especially if you hire or if you sign a guy like Joc Pederson, then what? Like, you've got to offload somebody in the outfield picture. I think it's got to be Leody. We keep going. Appreciate all the comments, y'all. This is great. And I've got a lot of stuff to add in too, so hope you're ready to hang out for a little while. Josh Mitty was, again, one of the only bright spots, maybe besides the bullpen guys, Yates and Robertson, for sure. Huge no on Pham. Look, I think last year that would have made a lot of sense. Tommy Pham had a really good year in 2023 for the Diamondbacks. Let me put it to you this way, better than any guy we had that we could have thrown at the DH spot. I'm not saying go out and get Tommy Pham right now. I think last year, Tommy Pham coming off of that World Series appearance with the Diamondbacks, I think that would have been really solid. This year, Tommy Pham had a nice start with the White Sox. I think he kind of faded once he got traded to the Cardinals, and I think he bounced around to another team as well. Not saying go get Tommy Pham this year. Last year, I think he would have been nice as a DH. Joc Pederson, though, was probably the guy that I wanted as our DH last year more than anybody. I know my really good buddies will tell you that. I was just shouting, why haven't we gone out and gotten him yet? Joc was available like forever in the 2024 offseason. And we just, for whatever reason, we're good with who we had. I know injuries. You can't predict these things, but I wish the Rangers would have gone and got Joc last year. So hopefully this year will be the year. I think that would be outstanding. You get a little bit of outfield depth. I don't know how great of an outfielder Joc is, metrics-wise, analytics-wise, but he definitely has some pop in that bat, and I don't know if you can have enough of that in a lineup, especially for a team like the Rangers that are really looking to bounce back. I said it to y'all last year. The last thing you want to do this offseason is to bank on everybody having a bounce back year and not doing any major moves or retooling with the offense. So I really want to see the Rangers go out and get one more piece. Joc Pederson would be great. If it's somebody else, so be it. But look, I don't think you can just sit there and say, well, everybody's going to bounce back. I don't know. Baseball is an extremely difficult sport to play. And I don't know if every single guy that regressed last year is definitely having a bounce back year this year. I want to think so. And those of y'all that have been listening to me for a long time, been with me for a while, you know I'm glass half full guy. I try and tell it like it is, but I'm glass half full as much as possible. I really don't know how confident I feel in everybody who sucked last year bouncing back and having an outstanding 2025. I like Marcus Semien to bounce back. I like Doley to be a little bit better than what he was. But, y'all, I just don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you something that I don't really feel or believe. I want to see the Rangers get some insurance policies. That's why I like the Jake Berger move. That's why I would like a potential Joc Pederson move. Do I think we bring back Yates? I don't know if the Rangers will bring back either one of those guys. I think you've got younger options that are available. We've talked about an AJ Minter type. AJ Minter, 31. By the way, there are some Texas-bred boys that are on the market for relief pitchers that I think would be interesting. Of course, some of y'all I know will recognize these names, but you've got a number of guys from Texas available. Just kind of interesting. So, obviously, AJ Minter, he is from Tyler, Texas. Chris Martin from Arlington. That's actually where I come from, Dallas-Fort Worth area, Arlington to be exact. And then there was another guy as well. I think Oche, I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't keep up with everybody's pronunciations. But there was another guy from Flower Mound. So there's all these guys from Texas. Might be a kind of a cool reunion. I'd like to see AJ Minter. I think Chris Martin could potentially be another guy that you sign in the bullpen. There's obviously a couple of top-of-the-line guys that are definitely going to be, I think, really well sought after. I think that the Rangers are going to try and do their best version of what they did last year. In 2024, they really tried to be on a budget with the bullpen, maybe get some guys that had the potential for a higher ceiling like a Robertson or Yates, but that you didn't have to pay big, crazy money for. So we'll see what they end up doing. The top name is probably Tanner Scott and Jeff Hoffman as well. Look, David Robertson, I think, would probably be right behind that. But David Robertson is 40. Kirby Yates is going to be 38 at the start of the season. Like I said, I just don't know if you want to invest double-digit millions into a 38 and or 40-year-old relief pitcher that potentially had the best season of their career. Kirby Yates, I think that was his best season of his career right there, which maybe you say, well, clearly he's found something and he's going to do it again. But I just don't know if you want to take that risk. You dump 12, 13 million into a Kirby Yates, and then it turns out he's a little over the hill. And last year, was a little bit of an anomaly or just so far above his normal that it's not going to be able to be attained again. It's a little bit of a risk. I think I would rather the Rangers go out and get an AJ Minter, a Peter Scott, a Jeff Hoffman. I think those guys I would probably prefer over re-signing one of the two, as much as I love Kirby Yates and David Robertson. I don't think we're going to go back to Grossman again. I don't think so. I think 2 in a row, I think we're good. I don't think we're going back to Robbie Grossman again. Tanner Scott, though, I think definitely would be a nice piece. I mean, Tanner Scott, I think did Marlins and Padres last year, 4.5 WAR. I would definitely love to see a guy like Tanner Scott, 100%. We keep on rolling here, guys. Appreciate all y'all. We'll keep on rolling. So right now, I'm going to go through some of the other notes, some of the other news, if you will. We know Evo re-signed. I wanted to share some of the Evo quotes with you if you didn't get any of his presser. Evo says on re-signing, on why he re-signed, it was the same vision in 2022 when he signed that brought me back over here. I believe in the guys in the group that we have. We're able to do it in 2023. And I honestly don't feel a lot has changed. We obviously had a down year last year, but you learn a lot from those losing seasons. This is Evo talking on why he re-signed. The guys train harder, work harder, and don't want to finish out of the postseason. It's about pitching in October and bringing home a World Series title. What it comes down to is winning World Series titles, and I think we have a great opportunity in doing that. Look, Evo could have gone to a lot of other teams. We know he's got a Texas connection, but I was encouraged hearing some of these quotes from him. And clearly, I think Chris Young, Fenstermaker, Figueroa, the guys in the front office, I think that they are all obviously sharing with him a vision of continuing to stay competitive. And I think the Rangers are making moves in that way. That's why I do have some hope. Maybe the Rangers make a splash move like a Corbin Burnes or a Santander. Who knows? I think that Evo definitely came back, though, to win. Clearly, Texas is a big draw. Evo is from Texas originally, so you can say that all day long, but I do really feel like Chris Young, Fenstermaker, Figueroa sold him on continuing to stay competitive. So I'm excited to have Evo back. We went live right when the news broke. It was amazing. That's got to be the highlight of the offseason. I think only a Corbin Burnes or a Santander signing might match it in my level of excitement. Great to have Evo back. Let's talk a little Jake Burger, some of his quotes. By the way, Jake Burger, Dane Dunning actually were roommates together during their time in the Chicago White Sox organization. So Jake Burger going to be coming over to Texas, knowing a couple familiar faces. Jake Burger on getting traded. I feel like it was meant to be, he said, and I'm excited about that. One of the first things that he did was call Dane Dunning, actually, and he goes, hey, man, you want to be teammates again? That's a great reuniting for those two guys. I think Jake Burger was in Dane Dunning's wedding, something like that. So cool that Jake Burger has some connections there. We'll see what Dane does this coming year. I know I mentioned Dane's name as a potential trade chip. We'll see what happens. I hope that he bounces back and has a great 2023. Hopefully, Berg can give us 30 homers again, and it could just be a great year for both those dudes. So we'll keep going. Per Evan Grant, we already talked about Carter. He's continuing to progress well, expected to be ready for spring training without restriction. So there are a few updates for you. One last thing before I get back to comments and questions. Let's talk a little Sebastian Walcott. Baseball America every offseason does some updating with their prospects. They were extremely high, Baseball America was, on Sebastian Walcott. Here were the quotes from Baseball America. This is off of their X account. They said, few players in baseball match Sebastian Walcott's upside. This is Baseball America. We believe he has a shot to become a Rangers franchise cornerstone. So very high praise from Baseball America, who is completely in tune and locked in with all the prospects and minor league systems around the game. They also went on to note the first 2 months of 2024 were a little rough for Walcott, but key adjustments that he made have some thinking that he is going to be a bona fide five-tool player. So really, really encouraging on Sebastian Walcott. I think it's a big reason you saw Max Acosta traded. And I think it is a reason why the Rangers will probably look to eventually maybe move Corey Seager more into a DH or first base role. I don't think Seager is going to be falling off the map as a shortstop here in the next year or two, but maybe 2, 3, 4 years down the road, I think that would be an outstanding decision. If you can keep Walcott in the organization, maybe continue to play him at a position he's comfortable with. That was huge to read, though, for me on Walcott in Baseball America. Look, the days of Rangers top prospects, coming up and hitting it big, Profar, I think we would all say he's found his stride now, but he was a little bit disappointing when he was with the Rangers. Like, he had flashes, but it just didn't work out. There haven't been many top prospects hitting-wise or pitching-wise in the Rangers farm system in recent memory that have come up and killed it. I hope there's no jinxing going on with Walcott, but I was really excited reading that piece from Baseball America on him. Let me keep going. Appreciate all y'all. Jake Whataburger, does that not write itself? Whataburger, they better be all over Jake Burger and those promotional tools, man. That is great stuff. JJ, they got to give you credit for that, man. Appreciate the comment. DeGrom is healthy, Eric. Appreciate that. DeGrom is going to be a full go for spring training, and he's going to be locked in, probably opening day, maybe opening day starter. I don't know. They'll probably give it to Evo. What am I thinking? They'll probably give it to Nasty Nate, Big Game Nate. But DeGrom, he'll be ready in the starting rotation, barring any kind of setbacks in spring training. Knock on wood. I think I got some behind me here. There you go. Hopefully y'all heard that. So we'll see. We'll see. But DeGrom, I think full go, spring training, going to be in the starting rotation to start the year. Hopefully stays healthy. Keep going here. If we can just be competitive at the break going into the deadline, I think we'll be okay. Same thing. Look, this should give you encouragement. The Rangers were competitive at the deadline last year. And we all feel like they had a pretty bad year. And the Rangers were actually still having a shot at the deadline last year. It wasn't outstanding. But remember, going into St. Louis, they had a chance. They had that really bad series in Toronto before they went to St. Louis. The Rangers were right there in the mix, though, at the deadline last year. So I think the Rangers will absolutely have a really good chance to win the AL West and to get back into the postseason. Man, who knows what Houston is doing right now? Am I right? Houston looking like they're going into rebuild mode. Kind of crazy. Did y'all see the Nolan Arenado news? So Nolan Arenado, he kind of had a list of trade teams, teams that he would be willing to accept a trade to. So Houston and St. Louis work out a deal for Arenado to be traded. Arenado rejects. Man, that's my kind of guy right there. Arenado rejecting a trade to the Houston Astros. That is my kind of guy. I think he became my favorite non-Ranger. Arenado rejecting a trade to the Houston Astros, man. What a deal. I mean, hilarious in and of itself, no doubt. Doesn't want to go play for Houston. I don't know why. I think maybe it's location. Who knows what his reasons are? But I will say my day got a little bit better reading that tweet notification. Nolan Arenado rejecting a trade that the Cardinals and the Astros had worked out. I think that's got to be a smile on your face for another reason, too. The fact that they are actively trying to trade for Arenado, I think has got to signal to you that they really do not feel very confident that they're keeping Alex Bregman. Why do you go and trade or work out a trade for Arenado and you feel confident or feel great about keeping Bregman? So, in my opinion, this is twofold. Hilarious that Arenado rejects the trade to Houston. And second, you automatically, I think, can kind of connect the dots here. Bregman probably definitely on his way out of Houston. Unless the Astros just go all in and give Bregman exactly what he wants. We'll see what happens, though. I am definitely curious to see how this Astros offseason unfolds. But I did kind of tell y'all, the Astros are getting older. Last year I was saying this, and I had a bunch of Astros fans hop into the comments, hop into the chat, and try and talk me out of it. But here's the realities. they're getting older. Altuve is aging. Even Bregman getting a little bit older. You had traded away a lot of key pieces in the farm system. You just dealt Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker getting traded to the Cubs. Isaac Paredes coming back from the Cubs to Houston. I like him, by the way. I think he's a really good ball player. We'll see what they end up doing with him. I thought he was going to be the third baseman, but maybe they're thinking something else. I know he can play first base also, but you trade Kyle Tucker. You lose Bregman. You lost Springer in free agency, and then you lost Correa in free agency. I don't know. I think the Houston Astros are kind of going into a little bit of a soft, perhaps, rebuild right now. I'm here for it. Hopefully, they'll make some bad moves along the way and stay rebuilding for a lot longer than what they did in the 2010s. But look, Houston, they're a little bit, I think, in shambles this offseason. Maybe it's all going to come together, but Arenado rejects the trade. Bregman looking like he's going to sign elsewhere. I think the Yankees are going to be making a big push for Bregman. That's the word on the street. We'll see where Bregman lands. I just hope it's outside of the division. I don't think anybody really is going to be in the market for Bregman. Seattle, I don't know Seattle's roster, but don't know if there's any other AL West team that would really be interested in him. I just like to see him get out of the AL West. Look, the weaker the Astros can get, the happier I become. We'll keep going here. Rangers still have lots of promising prospects for the future. Totally agreed. JJ, I'm with you. I do believe Houston is on the downward trajectory. That doesn't mean that they couldn't make some savvy moves and bounce back in a couple of years, but I do feel like they are on the positive trajectory, at least in terms of a rebuild based on what they're doing right now. And look, the Paredes deal for Tucker, I think that was a smart move. You don't want to lose Tucker for nothing, so you trade and get Paredes. That's a smart move by them. I don't want them to make a whole lot of other smart moves, but I do think the trend seems to be soft rebuild. Hopefully they have a couple of down years. The Rangers can take advantage and everybody goes home happy, right? We keep going. Appreciate all the comments, guys. I wonder if they trade away Yordan, if they actually are rebuilding. If they do that, it's a full-on rebuild. I think they're kind of planning to build around Yordan Alvarez. That's at least what it seems like for right now. And, I mean, you can't pay everybody. Kyle Tucker is going to be a lot of money when he hits free agency at the end of 2025. So we'll see. But I think Yordan is probably going to be a guy that sticks around. Let me keep going here. So we've got Natalie saying this might sound crazy, but Carter probably hasn't had a lot of ABs against lefties in his life. I think he needs to face them to get better. Look, maybe on a major league level, but Carter was an everyday player in the minor leagues. I think he's got a lot of experience in his life against lefties. When you're a guy like Evan Carter, as good as Evan Carter was, you're not getting sat in high school, right? If you're Evan Carter and you're as good as Evan Carter was coming up in high school, you're not getting sat against lefties. Like, they're not platooning you. You're playing every day and whatever. If another team has a lefty that's a little better than you, you tip your cap. But look, in high school, I doubt Evan Carter faced a lot of lefties that were better than him. So I know Evan Carter has the lefty experience, but it's Major League Baseball. It's Major League pitching. It's a different level than facing a lefty high schooler, a lefty minor leaguer. So I would disagree just a little bit. I do think he's got lefty experience, just major leagues definitely lacking a little bit. But I will think that the Rangers will eventually want to see if they can play him every day. I don't know if you want to turn a top prospect like Evan Carter into a platoon player. And they were pretty quick to do that last year after the incredible September and October that Evan Carter had in 2023. I'd like to see them take the training wheels off Evan Carter and just let the man play every day and deal with some of the struggles, let him work through it. And that hopefully you get Evan Carter getting to a place where he's still able to produce regardless of the lefty-righty matchup. Keep going. Appreciate all the follows, by the way. See a few of y'all followed. since the live started on TikTok. Thank you so much. Appreciate the gift. I see a couple y'all gifted too. Thank you. And all the comments. They help keep the show fresh. Thanks so much. Really appreciate all y'all. Let's see here. Nate Lowe rumors. Only thing I've really heard is Yankees are interested in the trade market, not liking what they're potentially going to be getting in the free agent market. A lot of guys asking for a lot of money. Your Pete Alonso's. Wouldn't that be kind of funny? Pete Alonso signs with the Yankees. Juan Soto goes to the Mets. They take Pete. Who knows? Maybe that'll work out. That'd be pretty funny. But I would assume Pete's asking for a pretty penny. Christian Walker probably asking for a nice little payday too. So the word is Yankees are exploring the trade market. And I think Nate Lowe, just obviously a guy that a lot of people are gravitating towards as a potential fit. You got the lefty, the short porch in right field in Yankee Stadium. Gold Glove defense. There's not a lot to not love about Nate Lowe. Great teammate and consistent. We talked about Nate Lowe last week. As much as you may wish that Nate Lowe was a more of a home run guy, more productive, more RBI, the dude goes like 20 bombs and 75 RBI nearly every year going back to 2021. Like, he is very consistent, and you got to respect that. Not saying that the Rangers can't upgrade and get something a little bit better, but the man is consistent. Keep going here. Appreciate all y'all. Let's see. John, I don't know if you're still hanging out. What are the major needs for our Rangers now? Still needing a closer and setup man. 100%. I think you go closer. I think you go setup man. And then I would like to see one other outfielder, preferably, or a guy that you can mix into the DH spot. So I would think back end of the bullpen priority, and one more productive difference maker in the offense, in the lineup. Those would be, I think, the three main things that I'd like to see. The bullpen, setup man, closer, get that well-defined, and then also go out and get one other difference maker in the lineup. That's what I'd like. Let me keep going here. I've got a few other things I want to go through. So we talked about Sebastian Walcott. Look, we also talked a little bit about some of the recent acquisitions. We talked about re-signing Evo. We talked about Jake Berger. We talked about some trade candidates potentially. Rangers did sign catcher Tucker Barnhart to a minor league deal. That, I think, has to tell you a lot about Sam Huff, who I know some of y'all know. Sam Huff is like kind of that perennial AAA player who you bring up for like a little bit. He doesn't do so hot, and then you send him back down. I think that signing Tucker Barnhart has to tell you a lot about what the Rangers are thinking about Sam Huff. I don't know if he really has a long-term spot anymore in the organization. You're going out and getting Tucker Barnhart, signing him to the minor league deal with a spring training invite. You've already got Higashioka and Heim. I think the writing is kind of on the wall for Sam Huff. Tucker Barnhart, not the best offensive catcher, but definitely a guy that's very, very good behind the plate. I think he's maybe won a Gold Glove or two. Maybe I'm making that up. Let's see. I'll see if I can look this up on the fly, y'all. Yeah, he won a Gold Glove in 2020. So we're signing a Gold Glove catcher. Awesome. 26 years old, won the Gold Glove. That was 2020. So not a great offensive catcher, but a really good defensive catcher. So I think you got to like the move, adding good catcher depth defensively. And again, not really great news for Sam Huff, but I think for a while now, a lot of us have been feeling like Sam was not going to be a difference maker at the big league level. I kind of wondered if the Rangers would trade him at some point. Never really ended up happening. I don't know if there's really a big market for Sam Huff. So we'll see what they end up doing with him. But Tucker Barnhart, a former Reds catcher, former Gold Glove winner, signing to a minor league deal with the Rangers, getting a spring training invite as well. That's another acquisition. We talked about Bellinger to the Yankees. Little interesting news on some former Rangers. Ken Rosenthal reporting that Andrew Heaney, Lance Lynn, and Kyle Gibson, all former Rangers pitchers, are candidates to join the A's rotation. So the A's, by the way, making some splashes in free agency. I think I don't pretend to know the full-on rule or regulation, whatever it is. But long story short, I think the A's essentially have to spend some money this offseason to keep the players union happy. I think there would be some grievances potentially put forth towards the A's organization if they continue to spend as little as they have. Some people think it's kind of a middle finger to the city of Oakland that now they're starting to spend some money. You maybe heard the A's signed Luis Severino, who pitched with the Mets last year, to a pretty sizable contract. And the A's have made a couple other moves as well. So Andrew Heaney, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, potentials for joining the A's rotation, who are going to be playing in Sacramento for the next 3 years before they move to my current city, Las Vegas. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to watching Rangers baseball in Las Vegas. Y'all know I'm going to have to do some lives from the ballpark whenever the Rangers come to town once the A's eventually make it to Las Vegas. It's going to be fun. Let me keep going. Justin Foscue, I think, could be another guy that maybe you dangle out there. JJ, I know you brought up Foscue. I would love to see Foscue get moved to a team, maybe have a fresh start. I did not like what I saw from Foscue. I know there's going to be some diehard Rangers fans that are going to tell me that it's not patient enough. You got to let Foscue play out a little bit more. Look, we've been down this road before. It sometimes works out where a guy really struggles in the majors and then pops out of nowhere later on down the road. But I don't know if I want to take that risk. Foscue was a first-round draft pick, looked lost up at the plate at times in 2024. Don't know if I think he was at the 0.50 batting average mark. It was not good. It was ugly. So maybe Foscue, another guy that they potentially trade. Who knows? Agreed, Tanner Scott would be a great fit for Texas. I got to think Tanner Scott is asking for probably 15 to 20 million, though. I don't know if the Rangers want to dish out that kind of money for a relief pitcher. Not sure on that. But I think that Tanner Scott is probably going to be asking for as much money as anybody. I don't think, lead the major leagues in relief pitching WAR, but tops among all free agents in WAR. Tanner Scott was. Great pitcher. That would be a huge acquisition. Keep going here. I could see, JJ, that's a good point. The A's are going to be a surprise team. I could see the A's being competitive. I joked during the season with all y'all that tuned in after each game with me. Anytime we play the A's, I never felt totally comfortable, as bad as they were at times this year. It's like whenever we go to Oakland, like crazy, funky stuff happens, and the A's look like a great ball club whenever we play them. Like, it's rare. I feel like we just trounce the A's and just beat them to a pulp. It's always like this back and forth series, even if the A's are decrepit and have nobody. So I could definitely see the A's being a bit of a bounce back here. More stuff here. I don't know if y'all saw this. Naftali Feliz signing a contract with the Seattle Mariners. That's going to be weird. I didn't even know that Feliz was still trying to play Major League Baseball. And look, Feliz should have had a much different outcome with the Rangers. Should have been the pitcher on the mound when the Rangers won their first World Series. We don't need to say a whole lot more, but it should have been Feliz. I know Josh Sborz gets the honors. Should have been Feliz standing on that mound after the last out in Game 6. Wasn't meant to be. Glad to see Feliz still around. I'm kind of looking forward to it if he does end up making the big league roster and pitching in some games in relief for the Mariners. It'd be kind of a fun reunion, I think, when he comes back to the ballpark. So that definitely, I think, is something to watch. Former Rangers, always got to keep our eye on them. Last thing, and then we're going to wrap the show up. The MLB came out with this study that was all about like pitching injuries, and it really goes back to something that I said pretty constantly throughout the year when everybody was kind of asking, why are we having so many pitching injuries this year? And the study basically revealed that there's a lot of stuff chasing and velocity chasing. And that's exactly what I said. There's guys who are trying to throw as hard as they possibly can because velocity is what's sought after in MLB right now. and the nastiness of your stuff, right? Guys are trying to throw their curveballs, their sliders harder than they ever had. It puts strain on the arm. And yeah, the rule changes, I know, were kind of a little bit of a whipping boy. The pitch clock, that's what's causing all the injuries, right? I always said the velocity is the biggest driver of the injuries. Kind of some crazy numbers here. So in 2008, the average fastball velocity was 91.3 miles an hour. In 2024, the average velocity has ticked up 3 miles an hour to 94.2. 91.3 to 94.2 over a 15-year time period. That's pretty crazy. Fastball usage has actually declined, and guys are throwing the off speed a lot more. And think about this, the curveball average back in 08, 75.7. Now guys in 2024, the average curveball is thrown at 80 miles an hour. So again, guys are trying to throw harder than ever before. Fastball a little bit less, throwing the off-speed stuff a little bit more. And we say off-speed, but again, curveballs, sliders, ticking up with the velocity, the highest they've ever been. This is another thing that caught my eye about the study. Prospects who threw 95 miles an hour or higher at the Perfect Game National Showcase, which is basically the best high schoolers in the country, right? There were 3 guys in 2018 that could throw 95 miles an hour or higher at that high school showcase, Perfect Game National Showcase. And this year, there's 36. From 3 in 2018, 3 guys that can throw 95 to 36 in 2024. Pretty wild. Pretty crazy. I do think that we'll see how this continues to play out over time with the injuries. I know modern medicine is always going to continue to get better and better, but there is a little bit of an epidemic right now with the pitcher arm injuries. I would like to see guys become more pitcher, less thrower, if that makes sense. Like, there's a lot of guys that can throw hard, but the art of pitching, I mean, that's like peak late 90s, your Tom Glavines, your Greg Maddoxes. Like, those guys were pitchers. Like, they could throw low 90s, they could throw it hard, but they were pitchers. They could paint the corners. They knew how to mix up their pitches well. They weren't just trying to throw as hard as they possibly could. So I would love to see that come back and be in style a little bit more. But right now, I got a feeling for the next foreseeable future, velocity is going to continue to be chased by a lot of guys trying to make their way into the big leagues. Let me keep going. Where am I looking? So I got TikTok right here on my phone, and then on my computer, I got pretty much every other social media service. So I try and go back and forth as much as possible. Can Jon Gray be a good bullpen arm? Possibly. I still think at $13 million, that's a little bit high to make Jon Gray a bullpen piece, but I think that is probably where he's going to end up. JJ, yeah, 100% would love to see guys that are more pitcher, a little bit less just throwing as hard as they possibly can. I mean, look, 104, 105, it's hard to hit, and that's why guys are trying to throw that fast, but it's just a matter of time before you see the injury when you're throwing that hard and when you are trying to overly exert yourself every single pitch. Along with the pitch clock, that's tough. All right, y'all. Let me see if I missed anything. I'm just scrolling back through. Oh, another former Ranger, Carson Kelly, signs with the Cubs. Of course, the Rangers acquired Carson Kelly at the trade deadline from the Tigers. Carson Kelly signs with the Cubs for about $1 million less than the Higashioka contract. So, look, comparatively, I think I'll take Higashioka. I really did like Carson Kelly, and I would have been fine if the Rangers would have re-signed him, but I like the fact that he goes to a team that is probably going to be competitive this year with Kyle Tucker. He gets to go to a pretty good situation, I think. I don't think the Cubs are going to be slouches next year, and he makes a nice little payday. Good for Carson Kelly. Good for him. All right. Don't think I've got anything else. We will be live this weekend to talk about the Texas Longhorns. Hopefully after their win over the Clemson Tigers. That game is on Saturday. So we'll be back to talk a little Longhorns football. Y'all know here at Right on Rangers, I cover everything sports, but I try to focus on all the teams I love from Texas. Growing up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, those are my passions. So Rangers, Cowboys, Mavs, and Longhorns for me as well. A lot of my family went to the University of Texas and grew up a Longhorns fan from the time I was real small. So we'll be Saturday Longhorns. Sunday, I believe, we'll be back for Cowboys as well. And then we always do our Rangers show on Wednesday, little off-season show, talk hot stove, talk what's going on in the MLB world. Not just Rangers, but really all teams around the sport. So Wednesday, if you just want to do baseball, but Sunday night will be Bucks Cowboys. So we'll go live after Sunday Night Football. Bucks are coming to town. And let's see, what time do the Longhorns play on Saturday? What time do they play? 1 o'clock on Saturday, at least Vegas time, so like 3 o'clock Central. We'll be back Saturday, Sunday to talk football. So if you love football, love college football, love NFL, come back this weekend. I'd love to have y'all hang out. We'll talk Longhorns and we'll talk Cowboys. And that is the plan. Go Mavs as well. Love Dallas Mavs. They kind of get the short end of the stick here, Right on Rangers, until I would say after football. But then once we get started up with the baseball season, we'll talk a little bit of Mavs here and there as well. But go Mavs for sure. Go Rangers. Go Longhorns. Go Cowboys. Appreciate all of y'all that have been following along throughout the entire show today. Thank you for the comments, the likes. Appreciate the gift. I know a couple of y'all gave some gifts along the way. Thank you so much. And I also want to say thank you for the follows too. Let's keep growing this good group of people we got talking ball, talking Rangers baseball. I love it. Hey, do me a favor. If you know somebody that's a big Rangers fan, share this video with them. If you're live on TikTok with me, share the live with somebody that you know is a big Rangers fan. I'd love to keep, like I said, getting this group going that we got here. It would be great. I would love nothing more for this to become even bigger and bigger. And you guys are a big part of that. So thank you. And hope y'all have a great rest of your week. Couple more days to the weekend, Thursday and Friday. Hope y'all have a great one. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and go Rangers.